Hi there, Leslie with the Moxie Women's Foundation, and today we're going to speak with Jen Cutting. Jen is a public speaker, and she's also the founder of a wonderful organization called Supplies for Life, and she's doing some really amazing things in her community, so we invited her today to talk about it. How are you today?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us today.
Of course.
So tell us a little bit about how you got into public speaking. We'll start there.
I kind of, you know, there is no specific way of how I got into it. I literally just kind of fell into it. My whole life, I've been petrified of public speaking. It has never been my thing. And then lots of things changed in my life. Like I got sober and I started to find power in telling my story. And from there, it kind of just blossomed, and I actually fell in love with it. It is probably one of the most empowering things I've ever done in my life. Yeah, it's definitely up there, like in the top three. It just, I say this all the time, like when people ask me questions about speaking or how I got into it. Like when I first started telling my story, it was sad and embarrassing. Well, first, primarily, it was embarrassing. I was embarrassed to say that this was my life or these are the things that had happened to me. And then, that shifted and then it was just sad. And I remember always just being really sad and crying while telling my story. And then it shifted again and it became empowering and it became a prideful moment, maybe, if you will, because it was the story of what had happened. And now I'm here telling it because it is no longer happening, but it's now becoming stepping stones for someone else to no longer be embarrassed and sad. And it's powerful when you can say, this is where I started, this is how I fell down, this is how I got back up, and this is how I'm changing still every day, learning, moving, becoming who I'm supposed to be and evolving.
That's fantastic. And you started Supplies for Life how long ago?
I started Supplies for Life literally like COVID, unintentionally, had no idea COVID was going to happen. I was working in an agency that claimed to support people through rehab and reentry and all that. And it was BS and they did it. And I got sick and tired of having people come home from incarceration, rehab, mental institutions, etc., going to our local Delaware County shelter with nothing, or putting people in rehab, that are, women who are getting their menstruation cycle again and not having anything, no toothpaste for people, no clean undergarments. You want people are at this pivotal point in their life where they're going to try and change their life for the better, to be the people that they're capable of and supposed to be. And we act like they're asking for these great things, like they have these high expectations because they want toothpaste, right? Like, I don't know how you're supposed to bare your soul and heal from all this past trauma when you don't even want to open your mouth to speak because you haven't brushed your teeth in a month, or, deodorant, soap. As a female, I know when I came home from incarceration, of course, because I came home broke, lived in a shelter, I got my period like 2 days later and I couldn't leave because I had no way to leave because I couldn't care for myself. So I just started an Amazon wish list. It was not called Supplies for Life. It was called absolutely nothing. And I just put down all types of things on my wish list, including like these little nylon backpacks. And I would shove these bags full of like items I found on clearance at the Family Dollar because I lived in Delhi at the time. And I would just give them to my people as they were going to rehab or coming home from prison or rehab or whatnot. And about a year or so into it, I started a YouTube channel, self-titled YouTube channel, and I did a video called Go Bags because that's what I started calling them. And the amazing community that I have on YouTube, that they're like family and friends. I know it sounds crazy to say, but these individuals are amazing people, and I cherish every single one of them. They bought my wish list out like 7 times, to the point that the post office was like, you have to come pick up your own packages because we don't have a truck big enough to deliver all your supplies. And from there, it has just continued to grow. That's this crazy mess you see behind me. I now have, my office has been slowly but surely taken over. And I work with individuals in the community who are experiencing homelessness, domestic violence, substance use, I work with a lot of parents, and I have parenting supplies like diapers, wipes, things like that. And I'm just really grateful and blessed that I'm able to do work in the community where I once was an active addict.
That's very, very inspiring. Uh, what what is your YouTube channel about? Like, what kind of things?
So my YouTube channel is really a variety. It is really about harm reduction, recovery, sobriety, the things that I have gone through in my personal journey. I had lost custody of my daughter, and I document my entire fight from start to finish. I document the fear of going back into the court system after being in it personally for criminal things and family things. I document going through the custody battle. I document my daughter coming home and now our life. Just trials and tribulations of being a woman in recovery, trying to be a professional, but also trying to navigate and balance being a mom, a wife, a human being, an activist, an advocate, things like that. So I really promote, we talk about prison, we talk about addiction, we talk about substances, because that is part of who I am in my story. But that's not the gist of my content. My content is really about life after addiction.
And you have a big following?
I like it. I have roughly a little under 15,000. And it's crazy. So I have all those people, and there are some people who have been with me from the very first horribly done video, right? And I love them all, and I know them by name. I know their kids. We talk. They've become like my circle. They've become part of my tribe. And like when I have an issue or a problem, that's where I go. It's crazy because the people that are from around the world and stuff, they're so incredibly kind and supportive and amazing. And it's usually the local people that are bitter about it. And unfortunately, that's just par for the course. You know what I mean? And usually it's people related to my husband and I actually that are bitter and sour about it because they don't understand. And I guess some people just have smaller, closed minds than others.
Yeah, it can be tough.
Yeah.
People are difficult. If people weren't difficult, then we wouldn't have so much division in the world already.
I agree.
So
it'd be such a nice place.
How has the work that you've been doing with Supplies for Life and the YouTube channel impacted your own journey of recovery?
It's tremendously impacted it. Let's see. Well, first off, it's literally giving me a safe place to be able to vent and talk and explain and be a part of. Because as much as my subscribers are a part of my community, I'm a part of their community, right? Like, so it gives a support system all the way around. Like, I have people who are subscribers turned friends, and they'll call me up or message me and like, are you okay? Like, you seem off. Are you all right? And I'm like, I'm just having a rough time or whatever the case may be. So it has helped me tremendously through that. Supplies for Life has helped me also because, well, first off, it's literally given me a purpose and a job, and it keeps everything fresh for me because a lot of the people that I work with and that I help are people that I sold drugs to, bought drugs from, lived a drug lifestyle with, used with, partied with, however you want to put it. And for them and for me also, because it's full circle, right? The reason why people in AA and NA and whatever meeting you go to that helps you stay sober, service work is not just for the people you're serving, it's also for you, right? You can't keep what you don't give away.
I like that. I'm not like that.
Yeah, it's true. Like if you're so greedy to keep everything that you have for you, it becomes toxic after a while. And I think for me, going back to the same places and being on a different chapter, because I'll never be on the other side of it completely. Like I will always be an addict. I will die an addict. I am just blessed that right now my disease is in the remission part of its cycle. And that can change at any point in time. Rent is due every day, and this is my rent. This is what I do. This is what I give back to my community. This is what keeps it fresh for me and shows me how I never want to live my life again. But this also shows my child and my, loved ones. This is, we don't, and this is the main principle of harm reduction for me. So harm reduction is meeting people where they're at, but also not leaving them behind. So I'm meeting people where they're at with these supplies, but I'm not leaving them behind because I'm going and I'm interacting with them and we're communicating and we're setting goals and we're doing all this. But that also helps me live a stable, sober life.
God, I had a really great question that I've been like just chewing on. You know that, and then it's just gone.
Yep. Story of my life.
How are you received by individuals who are still in the thick of it, that you were, in that lifestyle with? How are you received now on this side of things, offering help and support?
So, there are times they don't like something that I have to say because it doesn't fit for what they want or what they want to do. And I've had people that, told me where to go or whatever. And then a few weeks, months go by and they're like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, I get it. It's okay. I have one person that I've worked with for a very, very long time, and he and I have gotten into it numerous times. And we actually, his name is George. We did a video together on my channel, so I feel free sharing his name. He's like family to me. I absolutely love him and his entire family. My husband and him have a relationship. They were in school together and everything, and we joke around about it on the channel. Like, he basically told me to go F myself a couple times, and I was like, okay, and when he was ready, he was like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, I know, so it is what it is. I know what it's like being there. For the most part, people are always extremely grateful that I'm there, extremely happy for the support and the love. I think they've come to know that they can count on me. I've gone above and beyond for most of my people as much as I possibly can. I get very attached to the people that I'm working with because I get it. Like, on a very personal level, I get it. I know what it's like to be overlooked, unloved, looked over, ignored, pacified, judged, all of that, and it takes one to know one, right? That's why the peer movement is such a powerful movement, because live life experience, man. I could read books all day long about flying helicopters and have a generalized idea of what it means to fly one. But at the end of the day, I have no clue what it feels like because I've never participated in it.
Yeah.
Same thing. You can't tell me that you go to school and get your degree in whatever and you understand what I'm feeling. You can't possibly understand what I'm feeling from behind that desk unless you've walked those shoes yourself and experienced homelessness, domestic violence, substance use on a personal, physical level. You can sympathize, you can support, but you don't know.
Yeah. How do you cope with the, I'm sure, disappointments when working with individuals who aren't ready yet or, have fall down again?
I cry a lot. I cry a lot and I just keep going, like I have to say to myself, and this is very difficult because I'm a Kark and a Serpa. And what that means is I'm an advocate and a coach, right? I'm certified, yada, 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 whatever, all that fancy stuff, right? Basically, what that means is I am to walk alongside you on your path. So it is not, even though I know I can see that ginormous hole in front of you, and I want to push you to walk around it, if you choose to fall in it again, that is your choice. It is your life. It is your decision. It is my job to do what you need me to do and just support you. So sometimes it's very difficult because, like I said earlier, I genuinely fall in love with every single person I work with. Every single person gets a piece of my heart. It's just who I am as a person. It hurts me when I watch them fail, but my job is to walk alongside them. So I know for me, the only way I learned was going through it. Everybody and their mama could have screamed, don't go there, don't go that way, don't do this. And I wouldn't have heard them because everybody's experience is to themselves, right? So I cry a lot, especially when it's a fatal mistake. Um, but I just keep going because I know it took me a very, very long time to get on the path that I'm currently on.
What would you,
And some days are better than others. I mean, you know,
just life.
yeah,
What would you say is your greatest accomplishment
in my life,
on this path, on this journey?
fighting for 4 years to get my daughter back and getting her back, full custody, everything, without even stepping into the courtroom after the judge, after 8 long, grueling months of paperwork and preparing to go to trial and everything. I got everything.
Nice. Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
How about in the work that you do?
I mean, I don't know. I guess there's not one greatest accomplishment. I would say all of it. The simple fact that, so next Thursday, October 27th, is my 5-year sober birthday. 5 years ago, I was still an active addict who was 82 pounds, an inmate in the Delaware County Jail. And now I work alongside of the people who arrested me, and everyone who didn't believe in me or thought I could never accomplish anything besides being an active addict. Well, that's, when I get to sit down across from a table from them for something for work, or they have to call me to ask me for advice on how to better help somebody, I was the one that was never going to make it.
Wow, that gave me chills. That's a huge hurdle to overcome, because it seems like you can't, without that outside support, you're only looking to yourself. So that's an incredible feat. Well,
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point. So, like, the opposite of addiction is connectivity, right? So when we are active, we are isolating, we are by ourselves, with our 1 or 2 using buddies or however, significant other usually. I mean, for me, it was, my husband and I were active addicts together, and now we're sober together. But I mean, the complete opposite of addiction is connection. So you can't go through these horrible things in life by yourself and then recover by yourself. I mean, I'm sure if you were like locked on an island somewhere, you could, but I mean, nobody wants to go through all this to be alone or not have support or not be with anyone. And like, I don't know, I feel like we go through all of this and the traumas that we've suffered. Like, no one wakes up and says, hey, I want to be an addict today and ruin my life and, go through all this pain and horrible stuff or whatever. It happens. It happens because of, childhood traumas, sexual assaults, genetics. I mean, the list goes on. And they're all really heavy, horrible things that get us to this point. So to have to stop doing what makes you feel better, which is the drugs, because let's face it, they do make us feel better. That's why we do them. And to have to unpack all that heavy, painful stuff that we've gone through in the past to become a better person. That's why when I hear people say oh my God, junkies, they're so weak. They're just such weak people. It makes me want to throat punch people, because that is the complete opposite. We are actually the most strongest, capable, amazing, creative, talented people I have ever met in my life. We go through these horrific events in life, and we still keep going, right? And then we run into these brick walls of our addiction because of the trauma that we're still trudging through. And then we bear it all for complete strangers usually, change our entire lives to become better people. And then 9 times out of 10, usually turn out to be people who devote our lives to helping other people get through the hell we just walked through. But we're weaklings. We are not good people. We are as weak as can be. And we just suck and we shouldn't get anything in life, right? Says the Karen down the road who walks around with blinders on and thinks because she goes to church on Sunday, she's an amazing person.
Yeah. Well, I think, you and I have had some conversations in the past about, some of the ways in which addiction has touched my life. And,
Mhm.
I think that the more people start to talk about it and pull their head out of their ass, they're going to
Mhm.
see that literally nobody can escape this right now. Like,
Yeah.
that whole 6 degrees of separation, I don't think you can go even 6 degrees without
No, I don't think it exists
without there
anymore in all
being
honesty.
addiction, to some degree, whether it's, drugs, alcohol, food, gambling,
Yeah.
emotional addiction, sex addiction, whatever. It's
Yep.
there and it's prevalent. And the only way that we're ever going to beat it as a society to the degree of where we're at now, where it's so bad, is to talk
Mhm.
about it and to support each other and to, realize that it nobody is above it. Absolutely nobody. I don't care what kind of an upbringing you have, how many letters there are after your name, how many digits are in your paycheck. Like,
Right. And that's
it's
the thing, like we've ignored it for so long. Like as a society, we have walked around like this, like don't look at it. If we don't look at it, it's not there. And unfortunately, anytime there's any type of evil in anything, right, and you leave it alone in the darkness allows it to grow and get out of control because you're not looking at it, so you don't see it until bam, it smacks you in the face and you can no longer keep that dirty little secret in the dark any longer. And that's literally, I always say stuff like that. Like, that's how the devil gets in the darkness. You leave a little tiny crack and you just let it go, let it go, let it go. And that's what we've been doing with addiction for so, so long. And COVID, as horrible as it was also a blessing in disguise for certain things because it allowed things like telemedicine and, prescriptions of sorts. And it just, it opened up an entire world of healthcare that never was there before, and it allowed people who were too embarrassed, too stigmatized, too judged, too alone to be able to finally get some help that they needed in the privacy of their own home, in a sense. And the more we ignore stuff, I mean, how's that worked out in the past?
yeah, no,
We
those
literally, worldwide. You know what I mean? Like this isn't a New York issue or a Cali issue or Kentucky or this. It is literally affecting the entire world.
yeah, it seems like it's gotten a lot worse too.
It is. It is. I mean, and then you also have these like people who don't know what they're talking about, trying to pretend like they're an authority on something and, trying to fearmonger society by saying like, people are putting drugs, like these crazy Halloween posts I see all over the place that makes me want to pull my hair out of my head. Or, and I get it. I get it. I'm a parent too. This shit's scary. Like I get it. I do. But let's be rational. Let's use our intelligent minds and let's have an open conversation that doesn't have a bunch of judgment and stigma clouding our views. And let's be realistic. Drugs are expensive. Drugs are hard to find. People are not giving out free drugs to children that they don't know, that they don't care about, that they have no connection when they can barely afford to get their own. Like, let's be realistic about that. Like, people aren't even giving out free pot seeds because things are expensive. Like, the society is struggling as a whole with the way the economy is going and everything. Nobody's giving out drugs for free. Come on.
Yeah, and my understanding too is that um, the drugs that are available are not even what they were a decade ago.
No,
And
they're not. They're trash. And that's part of the problem. So they're not the same drugs that they were. They're the same names, but the structural makeup of the drugs is no longer the same. It's everything is fake, processed, man-made. There's no real oomph behind the drugs. So people are jacking up the prices to make it even more crazy. People are buying more in order to try and be able to obtain the same type of high. But when it's fake, that's like processed sugar and real sugar, right? You're constantly using more processed sugar to get to the same place that you would with regular sugar, but it's harder to obtain and you're spending more money. That's literally what's happening. The drugs, like back in the day, when you had heroin, it was actually heroin. When you had meth, it was actually real meth. Now it's like street made crap. Heroin, there's basically like, unless you got a really good hook, you don't really even get heroin in your heroin anymore. You basically just get fentanyl. Everything is basically fentanyl.
Yeah. Scary times. Very, very scary times. What advice do you have? Do you have any advice for parents? Is there, with parents that have children that are struggling with addiction, or, people that have loved ones struggling for addiction?
I mean,
So
as a
much.
parent, yeah, it is. Like, we could have a whole thing on this. As a parent, I have a child who saw my addiction, literally like went through my addiction with me, unfortunately. And I feel like because of that, it has opened up a lot of conversation that might not have been. My daughter knows what Narcan is. She knows how to use it. She understands that drug addiction is not, being an addict is not a crime. Being an addict does not make you a bad person. And I feel like we're so gung-ho to shove this down people's throat. Drug addicts are such bad people. No, they're not. They're people who are sick with a disease. You wouldn't treat somebody with cancer and ask them why they were so weak and why they couldn't just stop. Because it's a disease inside your body. You can't just stop. It doesn't work that way. We are not the all-powerful and can just make our diseases stop. If that was the case, there wouldn't be HIV, AIDS, cancer, diabetes, hepatitis, any of that. I think stop with the tough love. I don't even know why that was ever a thing. Tough love kept me an active addict for over a decade. I knew I was being a shitty human. I knew I was messing up. I knew I was doing bad things. I couldn't help myself, and I didn't know how to not. And because I always felt like the people that were supposed to care about me hated me, were mad at me, didn't want anything to do with me, it kept me sicker that much longer because it kept me away from the people that potentially could possibly steer me in the right direction, that were supposed to love me. As addicts, as human beings, let me say this, as human beings, we are our own worst critics, right? We pick apart and analyze everything that is happening in our lives before someone else can. And that's what affects our self-esteem, our mental health, all of that. Well, when you're an active addict, that's like a bazillion times more. It literally just plays on repeat in your head constantly. The feelings of inadequacy, the feelings of disapproval and letdown and disgust and despair and depression and all the ugly feelings in the world, you walk around with it inside yourself 24/7. So then when you go to the one person that you truly want to love you, and they just berate you and berate you and berate you and berate you, it feeds your disease. It helps the addict behaviors stay alive. If your child is suffering, your significant other, your loved one, find someone like me. My information is, Lord knows, it's all over the internet. Reach out, find a recovery coach, find a therapist that you can sit down and talk to and get advice on how to sit down with your loved one and how to help them. There are many things that you can do. There's many ways you can approach a conversation. You can simply sit down with your child and say, what's up with you? Like, please don't tell me nothing's wrong, because I'm respect enough that I'm your parent and I can see something's wrong. What can I do to help? What are you struggling with? You don't want to talk to me? Can I give you some names and numbers? Can you talk to these people? There's tons of Facebook groups. There's tons of amazing, informative TikToks out there. Go on YouTube. Nowadays with social media, you have a support system at your fingertips. Do not be afraid to use it. It literally can save someone's life.
That's great. Yeah, it is. I love my groups for different reasons, and I can imagine that it would be very helpful for support as well, especially since because we have such instant access to people. If the group is big enough, there should always be somebody there, no matter what time of day or day of the week it is. So that's really great. Well, I'm very excited, that you are going to be joining me with bringing another chapter of the Moxie Women's Foundation to the world. And I am very glad that your current connections and everything is going to, we'll be able to help a lot of people in another way as well.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I can't wait for everything to start to come together and for us to get our stuff going and everything. I think it's going to be amazing. We sorely need something like this out here in this county. Unfortunately, I feel like we focus on the negative because there's so much of it. And now I feel like this is going to be a beautiful way to start focusing on more positive and supporting women because let's face it, we make the world go round.
Absolutely. Every day.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to make sure to have your YouTube channel and links to your website for anybody that is interested. I'll make sure to get them up on YouTube. We'll also have them on the blog. The blog will go out mid-November. So anybody that is interested in learning more about what Jen does, we'll have all of those links posted for you. You can get on there and find out about, do you have any speaking engagements booked coming up?
I'm doing something. I haven't gotten all the details. It's going to be after this shows, but on the 25th, I'm doing something at the Walton Theater in the evening. I haven't gotten all the details for that. But as of now, I don't have anything coming up, unfortunately. We just finished moving and my life is literally still in boxes. So I've been a little preoccupied, but I'm definitely wanting to get involved with some more stuff, whether it's locally or if I have to travel or whatnot. I actually, one of the perks of doing this is traveling. And I usually try and take my daughter with me, and we've gone a couple of places so far together, and that's amazing in itself.
You were just at Niagara Falls, weren't you?
We were at Niagara Falls, and then so in June we went to Arizona. And we are part of a new series for the Arizona Health Alliance Committee out there called Substance Use and Motherhood. I'll share it with you when it's all done. I got to see some of it the other day. And even though I knew what was said, watching it and watching my daughter speak on film and stuff, I was like a sobbing baby.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's amazing and horrible all at the same time.
Yeah. You know, I really love, and I'm seeing such a trend here with so many people that I have these chats with that are doing things in any kind of a service space. So many people are trying to heal themselves and just make the world better because of what they've gone through by then, turning around and helping others. And it's very similar to, my story is very much the same. I went through a bunch of things that were hard. I didn't want somebody else to have to go through it as alone and as difficult as I had it. So I started a foundation, and I love that you're doing the same. And I'm really looking forward to our collaboration in the future.
Me too. This is awesome.
Thank you so much for speaking with us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.